Hi, everybody. DJ Yoakley here with our baseball preview. Believe it or not, baseball right around the corner, we think. And I'm joined at this time by the head baseball coach of the Ursuline Fighting Irish. It's Matt Weymer. Matt, how we doing?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Doing well, man. Doing well. It's been a weird start to the season already, obviously with the coronavirus going around. But let's talk as if we're playing baseball from the jump. What are the Irish looking forward to this year? You guys have really progressed over the last 3 years, and this is the year you've really been looking forward to.
Yeah, I think you said it right there. My first year at Ursuline 5 years ago, we had a great group of seniors and we won a bunch of games. And then for the past 4 years, we've kind of been building up to this point. So like our senior class that graduated last year, they were a big part of that. And then this year's seniors as well. There's 8 of them. And so for the first time, we're kind of going to be the older or the elder statesmen, if you will, which we've come to learn over the past couple of years that it's really hard to beat 18-year-olds with 15-year-olds. So we finally have this really solid, experienced group of upperclassmen, and they've really taken it on the chin over the past 3 years in a lot of ways. We ran into some really good competition, and being young really hurt us. And now we kind of have a chance to return the favor, if you will, being the older team. And I think that experience is really going to pay off. If you look at the district in our area in Division II, I mean, it's as wide open as it's ever been. So you got some young teams, you have some old teams, you have some perennial powers, you have some teams that are kind of coming out of nowhere. It's really kind of all up in the air. So you're just holding your breath and hoping that these kids get a chance to write the last chapter of their high school careers, because they've really been building to this point. So you really want to give them that chance.
What's exciting and most people don't realize is you guys fluctuated into the D2 this year. I mean,
Yeah.
So there's some challenges that await you, but it looks like you're going to take them with open arms.
Yeah, I think that's another unique challenge is we're kind of always doing this floating between D3 and D2, so we just kind of have to wait and see where we fall. This year being in D2, you run into some great teams. I think the biggest difference, in D3, everyone knows about South Range, and so there might be one great team in D3 that you're just hoping to get a crack at them like we got last year and fell short. And when you look at D2, there might not be that one great team, but you could lose every game. Yep. I mean, you have teams like, Canfield's always good, and Poland's always good, and Niles has been really good recently. And, I don't want to leave anybody out, but there are just so many teams in Division II that can beat you if you're not on your game. Whereas in Division III, there might not be the depth of teams, but you have that one great team in South Range. So Division II is unique just because I think it's a lot more in depth in terms of the amount of teams that were there. So it's a unique challenge. And, as much frustrating as it is kind of fluctuating back and forth every year, not really knowing where you're going to be, we're just excited to be somewhere, I guess. And, we'll take our swings in D2 just like we would have taken them in D3.
So when you look at your seniors, the guys that are looking to write that last chapter, who are some of the seniors that stand out to you? I mean, I know you got 8 of them, so I mean, you could walk through every one of them if you want. We got time, but the reality is, I mean, these kids have meant so much to the program over the last 4 years. Talk about them and just their character and what they've built.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it starts for us up the middle, literally right up the middle. We have 3 guys in the middle of the field who have been 4-year varsity starters, which again is very rare. They were thrown into the fire when they were 15 years old, and just to see them grow every offseason, every summer, every spring, and then finally get them to the point where they're like, there's nothing that you could throw at them that would shock them at this point, which is just great. So we have Colin Bayless at second base, who brings obviously a lot of experience, great defensive player, real pest at the plate. He's a 4-year guy, plays second base for us. Vince Armini at shortstop, who's another 4-year guy. He's going to Fairmont State. Probably one of the best hitters in the area, just a guy who really knows how to hit. And that's rare in high school. We talk all the time about, there are guys that can really field it. There are guys that can really run or really throw the ball hard, but like a lot of high school kids don't leave with the type of offensive ability that Vince has. So that's a huge plus. And then in center field, we have Jeremy Cruzweiser, who's a 4-year guy as well, probably our best arm, a guy who's really worked hard in the offseason, working on his command. His velocity's gone up. He was our best offensive player last year. He hits in the top third of our order, great center fielder. So it all starts with those 3. We got Andrew Sabella at first base, who's a 2-year guy, great defensive first baseman. Again, hits in the middle of our order. Brent Nelson's a guy who got a lot of experience at DH last year. We've moved him into the outfield, so he'll get some time out there. Again, just a guy who has a lot of varsity at bats, which is always the thing you're looking for. How many guys can you run out there that have varsity at bats? Pat Rubinek, who plays all over the infield for us, really great glove. Hoping to get him some more at bats this year. And then a couple guys who have been real stalwarts in our program who have kind of been able to do whatever we ask of them. Justin Gray goes like a fourth outfielder, a great runner, great defensive player. Again, much like Colin, can really give you a hard time at the plate. Maybe not like Colin, not a great hitter, but just someone who knows how to battle, knows how to draw a walk, knows how to put the ball in play with 2 strikes, can get a bunt down. And then Drew Gerchek's the last one. Again, plays the corners, mainly first base, a little bit of DH, and just a guy who you could put in to swing the bat, and you never know what he's going to run into. And for a guy to come off the bench as a senior with a lot of pop, someone that could put a ball in the gap late in the game, that's a big thing that you're always looking for.
Now, every coach is going to say that it's all about pitching, but the reality is when it comes down to it, what is going to be the strength of this team, and what are the challenges you're going to face?
Yeah, so I think if we had, I'll start with kind of the weakness. If we have one weakness, I think everyone looks for, like in high school baseball, it's all about that dominant arm. Like, do you have the guy who you can put on the mound who just say, hey man, go win the game, go eliminate the competition. Like my first year at Ursuline, we had Vinny Luceni and we had Vito Petrillo, and they were they were outstanding. So Vinny could go out there and he could strike out 13 guys and give up 1 hit, and you're like, well, that's pretty good. We're probably going to win that game. We don't have the dominant guy, but what we do have, we feel, is a real dominant defense. Our whole infield's back. Our whole outfield's back. Trent Hill transferred in from Canton McKinley. He lettered there as a freshman, so he kind of slots right into the outfield. So we feel like we can really catch it. So while we don't have the dominant arm, we don't have the guy who's going to throw 88 and strike out 10 a game. If we throw strikes and we make the other team put the ball in play, we feel like we're going to catch it. And I feel like that's the important thing. That's why I love baseball so much. In basketball, you run into the 7-footer at center and your tallest guy is 6'4". Well, you don't really have an answer for that,
Yeah, you're toast.
Right. Yeah. In football, if the offensive line you're running up against is loaded, they're just going to maul you. In baseball, you can always look for the things that can turn the tide, I guess. So for us, yes, we don't have the dominant arm, but we have guys with experience. Jonah Kirshner, I mentioned Jeremy Cruzweiser earlier. Brady Shannon pitches the freshman. Ian Barton comes back. We have a lot of guys that have been there, and we're just stressing throwing the ball over the plate. Not just literally like, hey, here you go, but not walking guys, making teams beat us. If you run into a team who hits 8 balls in the gap, then you're probably going to lose that game. But what we can't have, and what our biggest problem was last year, is we'd lose games where we give up 6 runs on 4 hits because we'd have an inning where it was, all right, the first guy got on with a walk, then we kicked the ball, then we had a pass ball,
right,
then they hit a double. So in one, and they only got 1 hit, but they scored 3 times because you let them get to the bases, you let them do all that. So it's just throw the ball over the plate. We got to play good defense, and that's how you kind of compensate for the guy who might not strike out 11.
It's awesome to see that your confidence is based around all 9 of your players that are on the field as opposed to just one. I mean, honestly, that's a strength.
I think, and again, not to bang on the other sports, but like in football, if someone's having a bad day or, you just don't give them the ball or you run away from them. In basketball, you can sub. In baseball, they always tell you the ball's going to find you, and that's true. So you have to really believe that you're strong in every spot. You have to have the ability to move people around and put them in the best situation. And that's what coaching is. You have to be able to put kids in the right situations where they feel confident to win. And, it's just, I think it's a really unique situation for us where not only do we have those guys with 4 years of experience, but like Brady Shannon plays third base. He's a sophomore who lettered as a freshman. Joey Carousel is going to catch. He's a sophomore who lettered as a freshman. We have a junior in right field, Dante Walker, who has 2 letters already, would get a third. Like, everywhere you look, we just have guys who have varsity experience. There are no like newbies, if you will.
Yeah.
And so, the butterflies that other teams are going to be experiencing, we're really not going to have to go through. So that's exciting. The fact that, we're at that point now where we feel like we have the upper hand when it comes to that.
There's a lot of people that that kind of look over the staff that head coaches put together. You've assembled a great staff. Talk about them and what their role is on this team.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's hard to find coaches in general, and especially baseball is a unique situation because varsity and JV practice separately. So it's just hard. You don't have the money that maybe some other sports have to put together some staff. So you're really asking these guys to come and work their tails off for 3-4 months and not really be compensated for it. So at the JV, we have Paul Kemp, who's been with me since I've been at Ursuline. Everyone knows the Kemp name, of course, at Ursuline. He's in the building all the time. He knows the kids like him. And then to pair him this year, Chris Patton, who played for me for 2 years, his last 2 years at Ursuline, someone who's played a lot of different positions, someone who was interested in getting into the coaching field. And that's really always a soft spot for me because, I always think back to when I started at Springfield, someone hired me to run a program that was coming off of a state championship appearance in 2009 and had gone to the regional in 2010. And then in 2011, they're looking for a coach and they hire a guy who's 23 years old. And everyone's like, oh, damn, like, look, this is nuts. So I always like guys who come to me and say, hey, I want to try it out at coaching. Even if they don't make it very long, it's just something that I'm really interested in. Someone gave me a chance. I think about Tom Otto down in the B League. He hired me at 19. I was coaching my first team when I was 19. I mean, I went to him and I said, hey, I really like to do this. And he's like, sure, here you go. And it's like somebody has to take a chance on you. So I'm always looking for young guys, especially guys that played for me, know what I want to run in the program. And so we're happy to get, we call him Sherm, but we're happy to get Sherm in the program. And then at the varsity level, guys that have been around for a while. Rob Armini, whose son Vince plays for me, he's coming on for the second year, a guy who really knows the offensive part of the game. He works with our outfielders. Bill McCartney, who's well known to the B League, helps out Coach Pletcher with the Astros, guy who does really everything for us. You can put Bill with the pitchers. You can put him with the middle infielders. A guy who really cares. He runs his own academy now on the side, Max Baseball Academy. I'll charge him for the plug later.
There it is.
There's the plug. But just a guy who really knows the fundamentals of the game and really likes to work with kids. Frank Sobnoski, who's another young guy who played for me, is kind of our relative historian. Just someone who's really passionate and loyal. I mean, I can't tell you the amount of times I call Frank and I'm like, hey, Frank, I really need you to do this for me. And like, he's there, he's ready to go. And he's learning the game as well. Like he comes to practice every day and I kind of feel like he's almost a player because he's absorbing all of the stuff that, we've gained as coaches over the years. And I know one day he's just going to get his own program and he's going to roll all that out for his team someday. And then Michael Montalbano, who Ursuline guy, graduated last year from Mercyhurst, or 2 years ago from Mercyhurst, played on the team that went to the College World Series in Division II. He helped with our JV program this year. And then we had a spot open up on the varsity. So we kind of moved him up. Same thing, a lot of experience, young guy who relates to players, knows the offensive part of the game, and that's it. And, I think as a coach, you want to hire guys that you feel comfortable letting do their own thing. Like, I don't feel like I have to micromanage any of my guys. I put together a practice plan every day. It just says, hey, Monty, today you're doing the offensive part. And he's like, well, what drills do you want me to do? I go, whatever drills you think we need to do. Like, I want them to feel like they have the freedom to go out there and run the program the way they see fit.
This is, to say the least, this is uncertain times here in the state of Ohio with baseball, softball, spring sports in general. It's something we've never seen before, and you're the first one that gets to be asked the question. What is it like for you, and what are your expectations moving forward?
It's sad. I don't know. I think heartbreak's a big part of it. I look at baseball in Northeast Ohio, and obviously we don't have the rabid following of football or basketball, but the people that are invested in baseball in our area are so passionate. And, just to have a season really put up in question with all of this uncertainty it's just heartbreaking. Not only like I think about our situation, which we've gone through, these kids who now have a chance to kind of really write that last chapter, maybe not getting to. I think about other programs that are in great spots, maybe for the first time in a while, and not having that opportunity. I think about coaches that have been working, since November with off season and weightlifting and like to do all that work and then to have the season put in question. But in the end, it's about safety right now. I read a quote last night that basically said, while we'll never know what we're doing now, we'll never know if it was effective. But if we don't do it, we definitely will know that we didn't do enough. So, as hard as it is to look kids in the eyes and say, hey, I won't be able to be with you every day. We can't practice. I don't want you going anywhere at the facility. Like, no contact period means no contact. So we really want the kids to stay inside, stay safe. And I think for young kids, I told our guys this yesterday because we did have media day down at the field just to make sure we could put a program out for, in the event that we do or don't have a season. But I told them, like, I wish you guys could just be kids. Like, I wish you could just come to practice and I wish you could play. But the sad part is, we need you to be adults right now, because while you're healthy and you might not know you have the symptoms, you could be passing it to other players. They can take it home to their parents or to their, to their grandparents. And we all have members in our family that have compromised immune systems, and those are the people that are at risk. So, it's just hard for kids because they want to get out. They want to be around each other. They want to do active things. And what they don't know is they could be carrying and transferring the disease, or the virus, I should call it disease, over and over. So it's just tough for them because, you're asking them to make adult decisions when they're 15, 16, 17, 18 years old. And that's hard for a kid. You just want kids to be kids. And so that's really difficult for them. So, I mean, it's sad. It's really sad. We look forward to it all year, and now to have it be in jeopardy like this it hurts. But I mean, in the end, we will get through it. We'll survive, and you just hope that these kids get something, whether it's an abbreviated season. I don't know how you would mandate it. I know it would make all the summer leagues mad, but hey, just play high school baseball in the summer this year. But it's I don't know. I'm on the board at the state for the coaches, and there are rumors. You just never know. Hey, we'll start on April 6th. Hey, we'll start in late April. Hey, we'll just play like 3 weeks and then go right to the state tournament. Hey, they'll cancel the season altogether. It's just, you have no idea what's going to happen. So everyone's kind of just holding their breath, going day to day, and hoping that the smoke clears and everything's fine and we can get back to doing what we love.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, and I want to kind of bring this topic to you because you're adamant. I saw you on Twitter saying this. There's a lot of people that think that they can just move on to summer ball right now in the event that the high school season does happen. What happens to a player or players that decide that they're going to move towards summer ball and start practicing with their summer league team?
Yeah, so a movement to summer league right now, because the season has not been canceled, would be an immediate loss of eligibility. And then, so say I have a player who goes to a summer league practice. If I know that, I can just declare him ineligible and not play him. But if I don't know that, which obviously a lot of kids aren't going to be up front and said, hey, I went to summer league practice. So if I don't know that and I play him, then my whole team risks eligibility because you played an illegal player and so on and so forth. So that is a big rule with the state of Ohio. And I think just, when they came out with the no contact period, I think it's just reaction that coaches were looking for loopholes. Hey, how can and I was doing the same thing. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
Hey, how can we do this? How can we do that? How can we keep guys' arms in shape? But I tell, like, as a teacher, I tell my kids all the time, there's a difference between educated and uneducated. So when they push the season and whatever, I was, this is an overreaction, blah, blah, blah. And then I've spent, the last 2-3 days reading, educating myself. And, you just realize that this thing's for real. There are real consequences at stake here. And as much as we all want to have the baseball season, it certainly isn't worth, a mass epidemic coming on to anyone in your program, whether it be a kid, a parent, a grandparent. You just don't want that. So we've told kids that while we can't control them 24/7, we've made it very clear that you can't work out. We don't want you around each other. In a baseball setting, we don't want parents renting facilities. We don't want players organizing practices. We just got to take the time off. And that's really, really hard, especially for a guy who loves the practice and for kids that have, been working for this for so long. But it's just the situation right now. So they can't go to summer ball. We're asking them to take a 3-week break for right now until the state reassesses and kind of gives us some direction on where we're going to go from there.
Coach Weymer, thanks so much for your time. We're looking forward. Now I'm going to say this in positivity. We're looking forward to having these weekly discussions with you on Coach's Corner. Thanks so much, and good luck in getting the season started.
I appreciate it, DJ. Thank you for all you guys do as well for the area.